Hey guys, what's going on? So currently we are in the month of October and this is Fire Awareness Month. So what I wanted to do is go ahead and drop this video giving you some fire tips on how to protect your valuables. So make sure that you stay tuned. Hey guys, what's going on? Rico Garcia here, and I'm the founder of EcoTek Pro, located down here in beautiful, sunny South Florida. We're a full-scale restoration company dealing with everything from water, fire, mold, biohazard, and a whole lot of other cool stuff, which is always interesting. So if this kind of content is to your liking, make sure that you stick around. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and make sure that you knock that little notification bell. That way, you know every time that we drop a brand new video. So it's currently the month of October. This is Fire Awareness Week. So I figured that this would be a perfect time to talk about something that I feel really isn't spoken about a whole lot. And that is some tips and tricks on what to do, not only to prevent a fire, right? Because there's plenty of content out there about that, but some of the more important aspects of assuming that you survive the fire and that everybody in your home is okay. What do you do about protecting the important documents in your home? And I want to go ahead and give you just a couple of tips and tricks here today. Now, there's over 350,000 fires each and every single year, according to the National Fire Protection Agency. And unfortunately, this is something that most people don't really want to talk about, right? Because again, it's just one of those things where a fire is never going to happen to me. It's going to happen to somebody else. But the reality is that disaster can happen to anyone at any time. So it's much better to be prepared and to have a game plan and to be on the same page with everybody in your family. So that way, in the event, God forbid that something happens, at the very least, the transition through this tough period is going to be made a lot smoother. So what are some of the things that you should be looking to protect in the event that there was a fire? Well, first and foremost, assuming that you and your family get out of the the fire event safely, which of course is priority number one, right? Making sure that everybody is safe and sound. The very next thing that you need to be thinking about is, what did you really, under a stressful situation like this, what are you really going to have the capacity to think about at that time? Just imagine this, right? If there was a fire in my home, the very first thing that I'm going to be concerned about is making sure that my kids are out of harm's way, right? Followed by my wife. Just don't tell my wife that. But the priority number one is going to be sure that my kids are okay and that, I get the rest of my family out of the house, right? Now, think about all that stress about no matter how many times I run through this scenario in my head, the reality is I may forget to grab my cell phone. I may forget to grab my wife's purse. I may forget to grab, my wallet, right? So what happens if my entire home burns down, or if my bedroom or my office burns down? Well, this could present a real big issue, because now I have a whole other set of responsibilities that I have to take care of, like contacting my insurance, making sure that I have my policy number, getting in contact with, important individuals that are going to be able to get me through the situation. If I can't sleep in the home, how am I going to rent a hotel? Where is my cash? Where are my credit cards? There's a lot of different scenarios there that happen after this catastrophe, right? So making sure that you have a game plan in place to, number one, protect your important documents. Now, let me just give you some examples of what some of these important documents would be, and I have a little bit of a list here that I think is going to be important. And of course, this isn't an all-inclusive list. Your list could be totally different than mine, but I think it's a good starting point. Some of these important documents can be things like, first and foremost, your insurance policy, right? Not only your homeowner's insurance, but healthcare insurance, car insurance, things like that. But also making sure that things like birth certificates, passports, any kind of pertinent medical records, prescriptions, banking information, credit card information, anything that's important to your day-to-day should be put away somewhere safely. Now, there's a couple of options as far as storing important documentation. First, you should really look at a great resource, a resource that I love, I recommend quite a bit, which is a cloud-based solution, which is called LastPass. And I'll include a link somewhere below the description of this video, or just go ahead and feel free to reach out to me. But if you just Google LastPass, that's a fantastic resource. Number one, there's a couple of reasons why I really, really like this software and why I constantly recommend it. First of all, we live in a day and age where all of us have passwords, whether that's to our Netflix or Amazon or Gmail or any kind of software that we use on a day-to-day basis. So this is a great password management tool, but at the same time, it's also a digital vault. So you can store pertinent information, like let's say your credit card information, right? Because again, in the event that there's a house fire, God forbid you don't take your wallet, well, now you are scrambling to find your American Express contact number and your account number. And you have to go through a lot more hoops than if you were just to go ahead and upload this information with your account number, with your credit card number, the contact information, the CVV code, everything is there. Same thing goes with your bank account information. You can store your bank account number as well as your routing and any customer service numbers. But then you could also have a digital copy of your driver's license, of your family's important documents, additional birth certificates, things like that. So that is an additional backup. Now, if you want to have a physical copy, there are some fantastic items that are available at places like Amazon, which are fireproof safes and fireproof boxes, as well as some fireproof sleeves, which are really great, which again, I will leave some descriptions, there's some links in the description below in case you want to go ahead and check out some of these items. But if my recommendation would always be, go ahead and store a physical copy. That way it's always there, but then also store a digital copy. If you don't want to use LastPass, Google Drive is another fantastic option as well, so that you have all of these documents readily available. Now, something that a lot of people don't think about, because again, not a lot of people use cash as much as we used to, is making sure that you have some kind of cash or reserves, right? Sometimes by having a go bag with all of these important documents, that's always a good solution. But at the very least, having some kind of cash reserve in a fireproof safe or something along those lines, something that at the very least can give you the ability to get through the next couple of days in the event that you do have a fire in your home. Because again, you might have totally fried your credit cards or your debit card, but at the very least, if you have some cash reserves in a safe, it's something that after the fire is put out, you could always go in, retrieve that, and at least book a halfway decent hotel for you and your family to kind of get through the next couple of nights until you get new credit cards expedited to you. If you don't like the idea of keeping stuff stored in your property in the event of a fire with using something along the lines of a fireproof safe or a fireproof box, another great alternative is for perhaps some of your more sensitive documents or some family heirlooms, things like that, is going to be renting a safety deposit box. Now, something that you do need to keep in mind is disaster typically has a way to strike when it's the most inconvenient. So that being said, most safety deposit boxes, you're not going to have 24-hour a day, 7-day a week access. So this is something for you to keep in mind. However, it might be a good solution for certain items that you just can't live without, but you don't necessarily need constant access to. So if there is important property deeds, for example, maybe some paper, stock certificates, things like that, some old school bonds, maybe those might be some things that you might want to keep in a safety deposit box, or, grandma's wedding ring from back in the day. These might be things that you might store in those types of locations, but it is a good alternative for you to think about. Another really important factor is really think ahead and start to build up a contact list of people that you would potentially want to do business with, right? One of the worst things that could possibly happen is to be rushed in making a decision and trying to find people that you resonate with or companies that you resonate with that you may want to do business. So for example, what kind of companies could you or professionals might you want to reach out to in the event of a fire, right? Well, some of these people would include a public adjuster. Some of them would include a fire and smoke restoration company. Some of them would include a roofer, right? Plumbers, electricians, things like that. So even though it's not the most exciting thing to think about, right? And most contractors, when you need them and you have them in your home, for the most part, they're a tolerated intrusion, right? But at the end of the day, having a good game plan and researching some of these companies and researching some of these professionals to see whether or not there's someone that you might want to do business with is extremely important. So having a Rolodex of, not that anybody uses a Rolodex nowadays, right? Like having a phone contact of people that you might want to do business with is really important, because this way it's already people that you've at least mentally vetted. And even though you're really stressed with everything else that's going on, literally you can go into your phone book, go into your contacts, or go into your physical documents that hopefully you stored in a fireproof box or a fireproof safe, or in your digital vault. Now it's just a matter of picking up the phone, shooting them a call, and explaining the situation and having them go out there to help you get your life back in order as quickly as possible. So kind of going through this vetting process is something that could really save you a lot of heartache and a lot of stress later on down the road. And at the very least, you know that even though you were under a tremendous amount of pressure, you've already kind of made this buying decision to align yourself with these pros well before you ever needed them. All right, guys, so pretty much to recap, here's the short and sweet of it, right? Every single day there are fires in the United States, right? We never know when disaster is going to strike. And of course, priority number one is protect yourself, protect your family, protect the people that are living with you, okay? Assuming that all of that is taken care of, the very next thing is to have a plan in place well before you actually experience this disaster. A lot of these headaches could really be taken care of in just a day or two. Make digital copies of all of your important documentation from your license, credit cards, bank accounts. Have a digital copy backed up in things like Google Drive or LastPass, which again, you can find a link below. My second recommendation is to look at a fireproof bag at a bare bones minimum for important documentation. Keep that in a location that is close to an exit. It's essentially a go bag that already has some birth certificates, some licenses, passports, things like that. Really important documentation that in the event of an emergency, you could literally on your way out the door, you could just grab it and go. Have a little bit of cash reserves just to get you past the first couple of hours, maybe perhaps even the first couple of days, and start building a contact list of people that you may potentially need in the event of an emergency. That way, you're not forced to think under pressure in order to realize who it is that you may want to help you throughout this circumstance. And of course, as always, if you need any assistance or if you have any questions related to fire or smoke restoration, always feel free to pick up the phone, shoot us a call. We're more than happy to go ahead and answer any of your questions and walk you through any kind of situation and help you navigate everything from insurance to helping you contact other reputable contractors in your area. So if you like this video, do me a favor, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel and make sure that you hit that notification bell so that as we drop new videos, you are one of the very first to know. And as always, make sure that you guys stay safe.